Are the Blues really that much better of an organization right now than some of the other teams in the NHL? We need to talk about it.
Hey, this is Brayden Chen.
Subscribe to Lock On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here on this Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. In yesterday's episode, I compared the Blues and the Blackhawks to each other and how I kind of said, you know what, I did say that the Blues are really not that much better of an organization right now than the Blackhawks. I want to expand on that. Rant on not having an all-star game. I just feel like we need to talk about the fact that it's the Four Nations, and I'm a little annoyed about it. And of course, the rest of the season and how it's going to pan out for the Blues. I just want to remind you to subscribe to Locked On Blues here on YouTube because we have content that comes out every single day, especially when I have my voice. And then, of course, if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you're listening, make sure to go hit that follow button so you can stay up to date with everything Locked On Blues, LOB, baby. So let's talk about this. In yesterday's episode of Locked On Blues, I said that honestly, at the moment, the Blues are really not that much better of an organization than the Blackhawks. I hate the Blackhawks. I'm going to always hate Chicago. I'm a Blues fan. Like, it's the equivalence, honestly, to day and night with me, where I'm never going to see the Blackhawks as this great organization. But I can look at both of these teams and think to myself, well, the Blackhawks have an advantage over the Blues that they have a guy like Connor Bedard, who is an absolute star and he's young. They also are going to have another great draft this coming draft class. So, in a sense, in terms of how they're kind of rebuilding, I think that they're doing a better job. I think the Blues really lack skill and talent when it comes to how they're doing this whole rebuilding type of. I don't even if you can you even call it a rebuild if they're not calling it a rebuild. I don't know. And I'm seeing so many organizations like the San Jose Sharks, who I think are honestly like a better organization right now. I mean, you see what they're doing. It's so smart what what San Jose is doing. Because again, they're getting really good prospects. Celebrini, Will Smith, like they are honestly doing everything right when it comes to rebuilding their team. The problem with the Blues is simple. They're not admitting that they need to be in a rebuild mode. They're not. So instead, they're not making the moves in the off seasons that they should have been making. And that is the issue. I just don't understand. I truly don't why the Blues just can't admit, hey, we messed up. We've been doing this whole process wrong. Let's just sell first off, and then try to get really skilled young players and talent. The problem with the Blues sometimes goes into Doug Armstrong, and I know that he cares about this organization, and I'm excited for Steiner to take over. But I think what it comes down to is just the acceptance that this is not the team that you thought it was going to be. Maybe you thought the Cup team was going to have some longevity in this organization, but the reality is it was like a one and done situation. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm upset about it because I'm really happy that we won the Cup, and winning a championship is not easy, especially in hockey with how the playoffs go. And I'm really happy. Okay. I really am happy for the Blues organization that they were able to get that accomplishment. But what I think the issue was, and if you look back on that team, it was a lot of older players, guys that were only here in 1 year contracts. It wasn't like you had enough sustainability within that team, that core group of guys. Now, do I think keeping like Pat Maroon would save this team? No. Do I think having Alex Petrangelo would save this team. Maybe. And that's like the thing. You had certain players that made a huge impact and they're gone. O'Reilly, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is, but it's hard, like, not to, it's hard not to look at that team and see why it didn't work out in later years. So the thing that the Blues do have, and I know I mentioned this a good amount, is the goalie situation. You have Jordan Binnington, obviously starting goalie for Team Canada. Really happy for him. And then you also have Joel Hofer. Now, when you have really two good goalies, I would say that's the least of the Blues' concern at the moment. So then they need to shift their attention to defense. And I feel like defense has been an issue with this team now for years, for quite a while. And the number one thing that I would do with defense is try to get younger. And I know that we say this a lot on this podcast, but you see other organizations getting younger with their defensemen. And I can't help but question and wonder, why aren't the Blues doing that? You sign Suter, you sign Fowler. Like, you sign these guys in their like early mid 30s, late 30s, and you wonder why you're not seeing the speed that some of these younger guys can produce. You look at your forwards. Wingers, I would say I'm okay with that. I'm content. Centers, yeah, that's going to be an issue, especially the fourth and third line. I think the Blues really need to evaluate their priorities at the moment. Is it finishing as a middle team? Because if so, you have the perfect roster to do that. Is it going to the playoffs? Well, you don't have that roster. And then, of course, you have the roster that will allow you to get a good draft pick, and you don't even have that. So that's where it adds an issue. I think players like a Jake Neighbors, I'm going to be honest, yeah, like, it has been a little bit disappointing, and I talked about that. And of course, there's going to be certain players that don't play the way you want them to play. But I think for the Blues, when you look at the organization as a whole, it's been 3 seasons of the same thing. I'm tired of it. You're tired of it. And it's easier said than done. Like, I could never be a general manager of a team. Like, that's too much work, too much stress. Can't do it. But I'll admit I can't do it. And I'm not saying that Doug Armstrong isn't qualified. Obviously, he is. That's not what I'm saying. So I don't want anybody to take that out of context. But what I'm saying is sometimes, and I know fans are not always right. I get that. But sometimes you have to kind of take a look around and see how the fan base is reacting to things. And it's like, wait, they're really upset that we're finishing as a middle team. And I don't think I've seen one Blues fan or talked to one of my fellow Blues fans that are okay with what's going on. I don't. And I'm sorry. I really don't think that this is going to help the organization in any single way by doing the same thing again, which is trying to push for the playoffs. I don't. So that's what initially I said about the organizations and how Chicago is acting like a better organization right now. And that's why I'm not wrong on my opinion. And I know that some of you might think, oh my God, this is a bad opinion. Well, like, okay, that's literally what an opinion is. Having a thought that I have that is my own, that is not a factual statement, is an opinion. And if my opinion at the moment is, yeah, I don't think the Blues organization is as good as Chicago's is right now in terms of the players that they have when it comes to their prospects and how they're kind of conducting themselves with this rebuild. Okay, cool. I always want to know your opinion. I always want you to feel like you can tell me your opinion. But I just don't see how you can look at these two organizations and justify what St. Louis is doing, especially if you're a Blues fan. If you're not a Blues fan, I could see how you're like, oh yeah, no, the Blues, they're doing great stuff. This is awesome. If you're a Blues fan, it's like, no, this is bad. And it's only going to get worse if the Blues don't take the appropriate steps. So that is that. Had to talk about it. Something else that I need to talk about is not having an All-Star game, because I'm actually kind of bothered by it. Like, I am actually at this point now. getting kind of annoyed. But I want to talk to you about my friends over at Factor. Looking to optimize your nutrition this year, Faster makes eating well easy with chef prepared, dietitian approved meals that are fresh, never frozen, and ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences every week, you can customize your meals to fit your lifestyle, whether it's calorie smart, protein plus, or keto. Plus, Factor even offers wholesome smoothies, breakfasts, and grab and go snacks to keep you fueled all day long. I personally love how Factor takes the stress out of meal planning. I recently tried the Protein Plus meals and they were packed with flavor and kept me full throughout the day. Literally cannot beat a Factor meal. Anyways, this is what I need you to do if you want to be like me. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/locked on NHL 50 off and use code locked on NHL 50 off. Get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code locked on NHL 50 off at factormeals.com/locked on NHL 50 off to get your 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. I hate, and hate's a strong word, but I feel that. I hate that there is no all-star game, skills competition. I am broken by this. Obviously, I know this is not that much of a concern, but it's just one of those things where, like, I don't know. I really enjoy the skills competition of things. And here's the thing. I know the whole Four Nations face off and the NHL is pushing it, and I get it. Like, obviously, they're going to push what they're putting out. I just feel like it's kind of I know I'm about to get like judged in the comments, but I feel like it's kind of a diss to some of those players that have had really good seasons thus far. Like, personally, for the Blues, I think if you could name one player that would be an all-star for the team this year, I would say maybe even a Dylan Holloway would be somebody. But I like the idea of having all-stars. I don't like not having it. I don't know. People always hate on the skills competitions, but I think that they're honestly so much fun to watch, like especially like the speed skating, like the shooting accuracy with the 5 holes. Like, I love that type of stuff. That's like my jam, and I look forward to it every single time there is an All-Star game. And I don't know, like I feel like the whole Four Nations face off, like they're making it like competitive, and I get why, but it takes the fun out of having like the best of the best from each like team. Um which I don't like. I also like the fact that in an all-star game, each team is represented. Now, while some teams, I get why they're not having players in the Four Nations face-off. Like, listen, the Blues got lucky having Binner and Parayko, but I don't know. I kind of just like the idea of it. Am I the only one that's tripping over the fact that there is no All-Star game this year, or is this like something that other people have like felt? It's not necessarily the game part. I think it's more like the skill competition. And with the Four Nations face off, like they're treating it literally like the regular season, if that makes sense. And it's not, because it's like it's competition. But I don't know, maybe it's because like there was also the Olympics this summer, and I just want it to be my all-star skills competition. Even if like the Four Nations face-offs, if they could have done like some kind of skill competition, I would be satisfied. I just feel like I'm not getting what I want. And I don't believe is next year back to the NHL All-Star. Like, I hate this so much. Like, I think this is so stupid. Um I just, oh my god. Yeah, Gary Bettman's like, this is about the best of the best. Okay. Luckily, I was right. I did think this, that next year it's going to be in Long Island, New York. So the All-Star weekend will be back. Thank the Lord. I literally hate not having it. It bothers me. I don't know. I'm just very bothered by this. Like, I don't know. I get the whole competition, but I don't want this to be like the new all-star type of weekend thing. Like, that would also not make me happy. I don't know, like, I just feel like this is such a debate that we don't need to have, but at the same time, we need to have because I like having skill competition. Gary Bettman, I feel like how long? He's been commissioner for a while, a long time. He's been commissioner, yeah, since 93, so, like, my whole entire life. Um, yeah, like, I get the whole competitive side, like, I do get it, but I don't know, like, eh, it's not always about the competition, and I get it's because of, the Olympics, and I get it, like, I do get it, okay? Like, I'm not naive, like, I get why they're doing it, but, like, for all the players that maybe didn't get into, like, the Four Nations face-off, which maybe that takes away from the All-Star, actually. I just I would have really liked to have a skills competition. So, Gary Bettman, if you're listening to this, add in a skills competition for one of the days of, like, practice at least, and then, like, televise it. I don't know. Like, do something. Like, the fact that we're not having any, like, accuracy shooting or, like, speed skating, yeah, that bothers me. I'm sorry. Like, I don't like it. Like, it's not fun. I hate it. And I don't know. Like, as a hockey fan, like, that's something that I got used to was watching these competitions. I feel like the NHL, they try to do too much sometimes. Like they have the stadium series besides the winter classics. So then it doesn't really make outdoor hockey that much of a novelty anymore. Like, you get what I'm saying? I feel like sometimes they just do way too much. And I'm getting hot and bothered about it. But I feel like this is actually um like a legit reason to be upset. Like, don't get me wrong, I am very happy for Binner and Parika. I think it's awesome. I just it's like a 5-day competition. Is this stupid? Like, you have to let me know in the comments if you think like I'm like taking this way out of hand. But like, it's the middle of the season. Like, the Blues, I mean, maybe I'm not as annoyed about the competition aspect because it's like the Blues are not going to be in position to go to the playoffs. So like I don't know, like, it doesn't really matter, like, this is, like, the most competitive side of hockey that Binner's gonna see being in net, but oh, that was a diss on the Blues, my bad. But I don't know, the way I look at this, it's kind of like, well, what if you're a team that is, like, a playoff contending team? Like, are you gonna really go all out? I don't know, like, that's, like, the debate. Is it worth having this serious type of competition in the, like, middle-ish, end-ish part of the season? I don't know. I would be really annoyed if I was, like, on a really good team, like, if I was, like, on the Avalanche, right, with Cale Makar, like, I wouldn't wanna be like, "Oh, yeah, go put your full energy into this, like, 5-day competition," because, like, what if he gets hurt? You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like the All-Star skill competition and game allowed the players to not be as competitive so they wouldn't risk getting injured. When you take the best of the best, like you have the Kachuk brothers, I know Matthew, please come here. Um, like they're just naturally competitive people. Like all athletes are competitive. I just don't know if it's worth the risk of them getting hurt. And I feel like that might happen. And I don't want it to happen. I'm not manifesting it. I don't want that to happen. I'm not putting out any bad energy. I'm just saying, isn't that something that you think teams would be concerned about? Was their players maybe getting injured doing this 5-day competition? And I hate to say it doesn't mean anything, but it's not like it's going to make your team have any more points in the standings. You're not winning like a medal. This isn't the Olympics. I don't know. I feel like I'm negative a lot of the time lately, and I don't want to be negative. I just like I can't help myself, okay? I'm sorry. Like I can't help myself. Sometimes I'm just a little negative of a person, and that's okay. And I fully accept the fact that I can be a negative person. But you know what I'm not negative about? Pistachios. Yes, that is right. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shell variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days, whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost. They're always my to go. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Get snackin' and crackin' with the snack that packs a protein punch with wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Okay, so again, go to wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. The rest of the season for the St. Louis Blues is very simple to me. Lose, 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 lose out, lose every game, don't gain a point, drop in the standings, get the first draft pick. I wish that's not going to happen. Ideally, like I could see the Blues being a top 7 draft pick this year. So the way that the draft lottery is, like, I'm going to be very for real with you. It really doesn't change much until you get to like the bottom 3 teams, right? I don't know. That's just what I notice. I sometimes think those ping pong balls are rigged a little bit, and I kind of just like want to take an inside look into the actual room. Like I wish I could like actually get credentialed to be there because I'm telling you, sometimes I get a little bit skeptical. But I want to talk maybe about the draft and maybe like a simulator that I'm going to do for the Blues. And I'm going to do it right now, right here with you, because this is for the lottery. So essentially, what I'm going to do right now, the Blues are a bottom 8 team, right? So right now, before I even do the simulator, they'd be like at the 8th overall pick. So I'm going to do the simulator a couple times and let's do it. All right. So in this first simulator that I did, the Blues, they got 8th overall and they're drafting Caleb Dishonors. I'm going to do it again. Still stayed at 8. And it's the same thing, Caleb. All right, now they got to 9 with Jackson Smith. Left-handed defenseman, though. Caleb again. 9, Jackson Smith. 8, Caleb. 8, Caleb. 8, Caleb. 8, Caleb. 8, Caleb. They're not moving from Caleb. Jackson Smith, 9. Jackson Smith, 9. Jackson Smith, 9. Caleb. Is this even like a legit draft lottery? Oh, we got the first overall. We did it. It only took like 20 tries on the simulator, but we got the first overall. And the St. Louis Blues with the first overall draft pick select Matthew Schaefer, left-handed defenseman. Let's go. STL on top, baby. Could you imagine if the Blues got the first draft pick? Like that'd be kind of cool. Was Eric Johnson the last first? I don't know. But anyways, I think the rest of the season, the Blues do need to consider just not winning games. So maybe bring up some of your guys from the T-Birds. Also, I want to address, I know that Zach Bolduc got sent down to the T-Birds. My personal opinion on this, it's simple. NHL is in an all-star break. AHL is not. It allows him to play, get more reps. And I don't see this as a negative. I see it as they want him to continue developing and playing on the ice. So I wouldn't look at that as like, oh my God, Zach Bolduc is gonna be an AHL player again. I'm telling you, as soon as the Blues come back from the break, I said all-star break. See what I'm saying? The Four Nations face-off break, I guarantee you that he's gonna be caught up again. And it's all gonna be okay. So don't be too concerned. I feel fine about it, not concerned. It's actually a great thing for him. So just be on the lookout for that. All right, I will talk to you all later. And like always, let's go Blues.